glad to get past Daytona next week and start the playoffs so that you can kind of reset?
For sure, yeah. I feel like our mindset, I mean, since probably July has been kind of focusing on the playoffs. So I think we've had one eye on that. We started our sim sessions at playoff tracks, and so yeah, I think we're ready to have some kind of meaning behind the season and kind of have something to shoot for.
You go out next week and try to put it on the pole and do all that, or do you just play it safe?
I mean, try to put it on the pole, hold it wide open, see what happens. But yeah, I think in the race, just try to make good decisions. It is important to figure out kind of the blocks to make and how the cars draft, because it does change over the year. So got to definitely learn some things for Talladega next week. So hopefully we learn a couple little tidbits that we can take to Talladega.
Have you seen that happen with yourself? Have you seen guys that are a little more willing to go with you now than maybe were 5 years ago? I mean, what's that like for you?
I don't know. I mean, a little bit. I feel like in the past couple super speedway races, I've worked well with some guys that are more experienced. So I do think that's a true thing. But in like the modern era of NASCAR, where points matter so much, I feel like there's less working together in general. So it's a lot more selfish at super speedways. It's typically just whoever gets put in front of you, you have to push because there's nowhere to go and pass. So I think it's become very selfish at super speedways, but I think also the package lends itself to having to push the guy in front of you to make advances. You can't just pull around and pass people at will. So I think drivers are more selfish, but I think the car makes you work with one another.
Well, you mentioned that you guys were doing more sim work for the playoff stuff starting in July. Do you feel like that detracted at all from the hunt for the regular season championship?
I mean, we weren't going to the sim in July for the playoffs, but we were definitely, I feel like, in a little bit of a lull in kind of trying to find our purpose. We looked at some of the tracks that admittedly aren't our strong tracks like New Hampshire, and I think that it was hard to get motivated for that one, because we're like, okay, best we can do is probably top 10 here. So I think that, yeah, we've started to focus on those other tracks, and but we've still came with a lot of effort. We just unfortunately haven't put the results together, but I'm not too concerned because we've had speed at a lot of places of Michigan, here, Pocono, so feel good about it. Just kind of some of those tracks that aren't too friendly to us in the summertime.
With the playoffs in mind, is there anything in particular these next 2 weeks you guys are focusing on to make sure you guys are in the right spot come Darlington?
Just execute a solid race tomorrow. Try to finish in the top 10. That's really what the goal was coming here. We're off to a good start, starting second versus 39th. So it's great to start up front, and hopefully that track position and pit pick will help us. And we still gotta put a good Sunday together and just try to execute.
How important is the pit pick here with the downhill pit road and everything? Just executing everything on pit road.
It's important. I think it's important everywhere now. I mean, maybe with the exception of Daytona, where the pit stalls are huge and wide, but everywhere else it's really important.
You're a hockey fan, so it looks like you've got almost a playoff beard going. And is that going to stay, or does that come off for start over for the playoffs?
It's here to stay. My dad doesn't like it, so but luckily, I'm 25 and make my own decisions. So no, he's starting to like it more, and but yeah, no, I think I like it. Girlfriend likes it, so it's staying. Exactly. So it's staying. It's been here for a few months now. So I'd say since Vegas, I guess. So yeah, I love hockey. I didn't relate it to that, but we definitely got to keep it for the playoffs.
Goodyear talked about there's going to be a new tire at Bristol.
Yeah.
They're heading in the direction where it looks like there'll be a new tire at Martinsville and a new tire at Phoenix.
Interesting.
So that's two cutoff races and the championship race, provided Martinsville is changed.
Yeah.
How does that change things? What kind of an impact does that have? And your thoughts of, you've been in the sport long enough where it used to be they didn't make changes in the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, it's a little bit nerve-wracking, but I think for our sake, Martinsville wasn't good to us in the spring, so bring on a tire change. So bring on something different. But yeah, I mean, our sim is good enough now to where it can model all those things, and we don't know what the tire is going to do differently, but we have a good enough idea what the car needs that we can probably adjust. So yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I'm not used to tire changes in the playoffs, but it's kind of the world we live in.
William, last lap tomorrow, you're racing the 9 or the 48 for the win. Do you cut them any slack knowing their playoff predicament, or is it business as usual?
I think it just all comes down to, X's and O's, like what the lap time is. That's really, it really comes down to how fast your car is and how fast they are, or whoever you're racing. So, yeah, I don't know. I'd love to help them out when we can. But yeah, we got a fast car, so we'll see.
Hey everyone, Dalton Hopkins here with Frontstretch.com. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and check out one of the 2 videos next to me to see more of our racing content.